I don't wanna straight face you, race or chase you, track or trace you, or disgrace you, or displace you, or define you, or confine you. All I really wanna do is, baby, be friends with you.
Please sit down.
Thank you. Yeah, we were hoping that you could shed some light on HR 1955 for us.
Yeah, we've been talking about HR 1955.
Really all day long?
Two people, no, not all day long. We've also been talking about healthcare, children's health program. We've been talking about energy issues, renewable energy issues. We've been talking about the gal and the young man right before you was about juvenile diabetes and stem cell research and a variety of things. And then two people have talked to me about 1955, which I understand is I remember is the radicalization bill. And that bill arose from some hearings that bill arose from some hearings that we had concerning radicalization of prisoners at Folsom Prison and some other prisons in California, where they then, when they were released from prison, banded together. They burglarized some filling stations and grocery stores with the intent to build a war chest to then blow up synagogues and federal buildings. And so that was sort of the genesis of the bill. When it first was drafted, I opposed it and demanded that there be a new privacy section put into the bill, which we did add the privacy section to the bill. A couple of folks have still expressed concerns, and I'm going to go back and read it and see if their concerns are
the two things that people are concerned about right here. The different chapters. It's just the definition of violent radicalization,
right.
And it just
and so that was the piece that there had to be violence. So an assault, a theft, a variety of different actual crimes, and then this is in effect an aggravator. So if you were to commit a crime in Colorado against an adult with disabilities, so not only do you get let's say it's an assault, you get 5 years. Because the person was a vulnerable person with a disability, there's an aggravator attached, you get 6 years. Right. So this would be more of was thinking about it, an aggravator, but I got to go back and read it really close.
I'm kind of curious, don't we have a lot of legislation in place that deals with violent acts? Sure,
but it's like a hate crime, and if you're opposed to hate crimes, then you and I aren't on the same wavelength at all. Right. But a hate crime there's an additional piece that's designed to scare. So if you're a Jew and there's a violent act taken against Jews next door, and then a big swastika put on the door, it's designed also to terrify you. So it's an act that goes beyond just the person harmed, and that's what a hate crime is about. And the hate crime bills we've been dealing with, whether it's against gays or religious persons or whatever, it's an additional thing that you take into consideration of the crime.
But
that's similar to this.
That assumes that a crime has been committed, whereas the language here says the planned use or the threatened use.
Well, I'm going to go back and read it, because if the piece that I remember is the violence, so that there's a crime.
Right,
correct.
Right.
I mean, it requires speculation, and I think it even almost sanctions detention or
just a real broad term.
I need to go back and look at it. I mean, the points that have been raised this morning are legitimate. I want to go back, because for me, key piece is there has to be a violent act, a crime.
After you,
the subcommittee.
Haven't you already voted in favor of it?
No. This bill has not come up for hearing yet. I am a co-sponsor of it, and I need to go back and read it. But we did have hearings about it,
right.
And that's where it came from. These guys had banded together with the purpose to raise money through crime to then blow up synagogues and federal buildings. So they had a further goal, which was again to terrify people in addition to the crime itself.
Right. Yeah, I watched the C-SPAN. Jane, I think it's Jane Harmon, Democratic leader, who actually put that subcommittee together. There's a piece on C-SPAN, and essentially they had people from the RAND Corporation, a gentleman by the name of Mark Weitzman from the Center of Hate and Terrorism Task Force. And the problem was is he got up there and he started presenting these jihadist terrorist websites, right alongside of peace organizations, like such as 9/11 Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, also organizations such as Code Pink. And so here he is, he's like literally lumping all these different organizations into one, and so there's no real
then that's not right. And that wasn't any basis for my agreeing to co-sponsor this. Mine was after having had our hearings with this group, and I can't remember their name. It's something out of Folsom Prison. That was sort of the basis, where there was a crime and there was a further goal to terrify. And so that's where I was coming from. Now, enough people, you guys included and some others, have brought up some legitimate points today that I got to go back and just make sure that the language in this bill is as clear and as narrow as possible.
Well, it's amazing because 404 people voted, in favor of this bill, and that's just an overwhelming majority when it goes to the House like that. One person who didn't vote for it was a Congressman Ron Paul, and he put this internet letter, and he actually spoke before the House of Representatives on December 5th, and he just said that this legislation focuses the weight of the U.S. government inward towards its own citizens under the guise of protecting us against violent radicalization.
Well, I'm going to go back and look at it. There is a privacy piece that I demanded be part of this bill, and the privacy piece takes care of a lot of these concerns, and then the violence piece is the predicate that there has to be something that initiates all of this. Now, that's what I remember in the bill. I haven't read the bill for a month. I need to.
It's so broad and so vague that.
That's why I said I'm going to go back and look. And you guys have made your point, as did one or two other people this morning. And I'm listening to you, and I'll go back and look at it.
Well, we appreciate you coming out here. This is like awesome. You guys
no,
and
that's why I do it. Sometimes I may think this way after listening to folks who've been looking at it. I may end up having to say, "Geez, I better rethink this," because the two places where you've raised major concerns, I feel that I did look at it, that there had to be a violent act as a predicate, and there was a privacy piece that I demanded be put in the bill.
Right. Yeah.
So Ron Paul and I like Ron. Sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't.
Right. Well, I mean, he's got a considerable amount of support behind him, too.
Sure. So do I.
And, yeah, exactly.
But I'm not running for president.
In fact, I voted for you, and you're the first Democrat I've ever voted for in my life.
Well,
I'm one of your constituents here out of District Number 7. And one of those key issues was the war issue, and I'm just kind of wondering, how's that going?
Well, I think I've probably voted where you have been on the war the whole time. I went to Iraq. I just got back from Iraq a couple of days ago. And it's still a dangerous mess. There are some spots where there's actual moment of stability, and if in that moment of stability we can restore some of the things that we destroyed, and I don't mean we, but we can help get the Iraqis to start doing trash hauling and get their power back on, and then get us out of now, promptly. That's what we'll see. But there were some spots where you could actually walk down the street without fear of getting your head shot off.
Right. Now, how far out is that, you think? I mean, you're going there, you're looking at
I don't know. I think the window is about a year.
About a year, wow.
Yeah, and even if we started, and we are redeploying, that was part of the good news that I saw there in the Ramadi area. We have 5 brigades. 2 brigades are being flown back to the United States. Well, one may be going to Afghanistan, but the guys from Fort Carson are coming home not to be replaced. So if we can start drawing these guys down now, and that's what I saw happening in that area, that's good news. I think the window of opportunity is about a year to help stabilize and restore some services, because Americans are fed up.
Yes, absolutely.
And the Iraqis, if they don't see some semblance of progress, they're going to just go right back to the next strong man or the next imam who, can give them something.
Right.
Do you think it's fear that will make it so that when we leave?
I don't know.
So that's the consensus. I mean, when you're actually talking to the Iraqi people, they were, they want the Americans out. They want to actually pick.
And I said, well, we're ready to clerics. Well, don't go too soon. We need your help. I mean, when they thought we were going to stay there forever, they wanted us out. Now that they know that we'll get the heck out, we've got some people that risk our country.
Yeah, I know part of the problem, just with this Bush administration and trying to hold their feet to the fire in a sense, it's just a peanut power and just having the necessary votes. There in order to bring these people in and actually get them under oath, because it seems like they just don't want to testify every time somebody makes a move in order to try to pull us out of Iraq. They just stonewall it.
We're poised to bring contempt citations against a number of them because of their unwillingness, just thumbing their nose at the Congress.
Yeah.
And I'm, supportive of
deleting emails,
supporting of the contempt citations. So
now, in terms,
okay, guys, I gotta do the next group.
Should I get one more question? Just one last question.
You've asked about 90 already.
They asked him. I didn't get one.
Okay.
It takes 2 seconds. Before we pass any more terrorism legislation, we just passed all this terrorism legislation. Why are our borders wide open? All these groups that count illegal immigrants.
This is just one little question you're asking.
Well, they say
why don't we solve all the problems of the world?
They say 500 to 700,000 illegal immigrants are coming over our borders a year.
Yeah, I think the number has dropped dramatically over the last year or two as more enforcement has been brought to bear, to enforce the laws that we have on the books.
Okay, they're pouring through our borders, and how can this war on terror be real if our borders are open?
You're saying, one, I'm not sure I agree with you that they're pouring through the borders. There has been stepped up security at the borders, and if you watch, I don't know where you're from. Do you live in the district?
Yeah, I voted for you, right here in Aurora.
One of my points, I proposed a comprehensive approach that we have to secure the borders first. That means fences, virtual technology where you can have a virtual fence, and more border patrol. So you secure and you bust the organized crime element that is trafficking in humans, and you have the laws enforced concerning employment. So those 3 things, then you start limiting supply and you dry up demand. And that's what we're beginning to see.
Okay.
Then you've got the other piece, which is we have a number of people who are here illegally, but I've always said if they're paying taxes, haven't committed crimes, and learning English and want to become citizens, that over a period of time...
crime by being here?
Okay, you asked your one.
Thank you.
No, and the answer is you're not right. It is not a crime. It is a misdemeanor. It isn't a felony or anything else.
Right.
But I said, but that's where I am, and that's where I was on the campaign, and that's where I'm going to stay.
I appreciate it.
Any bills that are doing that right now?
Thank you,
off the top of your head?
Comprehensive act. That one sort of fell apart in the Senate. I joined on the SAVE Act, which is really during the border side, so that I'm on. And then there are some, it's called the SAVE Act.
Very cool. I'm going to give you some DVDs too. There's a growing patriot movement that's going on right here in America. It's got a lot of supporters behind Ron Paul, and this is where they're getting their information essentially. So if you could check out some of that.
Thank you guys. Merry Christmas.
Really appreciate it.
All I really want to do is, baby, be friends with you.